Welcome to this video tutorial introducing Windows Server 2008. In this video, I'll give a brief overview of what's new in Windows Server 2008. Now, this video is aimed at people who've had some experience with Windows Server operating systems before, namely Server 2003 and Windows Server 2000. Now, this latest version of Microsoft's operating system is based on the same code as Windows Vista. Just as the previous version, Windows Server 2003, was based on XP. You may have read reviews and criticisms of Windows Vista, but most of the things people have been complaining about are as a desktop operating system, and these don't really apply to this server version. For a start, Windows 2008 doesn't use the Aero Glass interface. Look around, I'll click on Start. You can see that there's the same or similar layout as Vista, but without the Aero Glass and without that expensive processing overhead. Now, for those administrators who actually want that, who they want the fancy graphic user interface, then there is the optional desktop experience feature that can actually be turned on later. But by default, as you can see here, when it's installed, it's got pretty much the simple Windows graphic user interface. Concerns about software bloat aren't a problem with this standard install of Windows Server 2008. If we just go to Start, My Computer, now this one's actually installed on the D drive. Let me go to the properties, and you can see that this one's it's 8.3 gigabytes, so less than 10 gigabytes. Now compare that to a Vista installation, which is typically about twice that, I'd say. Now, obviously, this is great. It doesn't take up so much hard disk space, and in fact, later on, I'll talk about how this can be reduced right down to about 1 or 2 gigabytes. I'll cancel that. Now, for administrators, the first big difference is there's a new management tool called Server Manager. Now, if we can go to it many different ways. Start, Administrative Tools. So here in Administrative Tools, we have Server Manager. If you notice that the icon here is actually the same icon as in the taskbar, so I'll click the one in the taskbar. And you can see that if you're familiar with Windows Server 2003, then this really replaces the Manage Your Server and the configuration wizards. You can see here there's a list of 5 things here. First one, roles, features, diagnostics, configuration, and storage. The main window here has a server summary of the server, the IP address, security information, and then it goes down to these roles here. So you can get to them in different ways, whether you get to them in this side or you actually click on here. Now, obviously roles, things like domain controller, file server, DHCP, all of these things can be added. Now, you can see it says 0 out of 16 here. Then there's features. Different features that you can add. For example, I talked about the Windows Desktop Experience. This is a feature that can be installed through here by hitting Add Features. Under the hood, Windows 2008 has the self-healing NTFS file system, which reduces downtime by fixing damaged data without taking the entire disk offline. The OS also has smart detection, which tries to determine when a hard disk might fail. The other major change that will interest Systems Administrator is the Windows PowerShell. What is the PowerShell? Well, it's a command line shell that replaces the command prompt or cmd.exe. And it has over 100 administrative utilities that work with other Microsoft products, so things like Microsoft Exchange, SQL Server, and other things. It also can access the registry. Now, anyone who's used Unix we'll see some major similarities, as it's a scripting language and it's relatively easy to understand and learn. What I'll do right now is we'll actually install the PowerShell, because it doesn't automatically start. It's not installed on our basic install. I'm going back to Server Manager. I can click on Features up here, but actually it's just as easy to add a feature. Here we have a whole bunch of features. Now, scroll down, I know it's somewhere near the bottom here, Windows PowerShell. I click on a tick here. You can also see here the Windows, I can't find it now. Yeah, just up here there's the Windows Experience as well, for if you want the new Vista Aero interface. Now I'm just going to install the Windows PowerShell. I click on Next, give some information, hit Install. Now it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so you can see that it actually says here installation succeeded. I've got one warning message that I haven't got automatic updated enabled at the moment. I can hit close. Now you can see here in the features it then says 1 of 34 installed, so we've got one of the features, and that's the Windows PowerShell. I can close down the Server Manager, and then I can actually go to Windows PowerShell. Now it's actually put it in here, but if I want to, I can go into Programs. Here we have a folder. It says Windows PowerShell. Go to it and click on it. Now you can see I've clicked on Windows PowerShell. Looks very much like a command prompt, doesn't it? Except it's blue. The things that we can do with it, for example, clear host. What does that do? Basically, that's exactly the same as the CLS command. Now, there's lots of commands. Let me just type help. And here's a list of all the different commands. Now, to begin with, it actually lists alias commands, things like CLS, and it actually has their commands of what they do here. This is very helpful if you've already used the command prompt and you know some of the commands in the command prompt. It also makes it quicker as well. Let me just make it smaller so we can actually see it fitting in. And hit more. There's plenty to go through. Let's just go and have a look at it again. It takes a little while to start up, a few seconds. If we want to help or have a look at certain commands, so for example help, let's think of a command that we could have, something like get child item. Okay, it'll tell us about the command get child item. Synopsis gets the item and child items in one or more specified locations. Tells us the syntax, how to use it. So there's lots of things to do. Now I'm not going to go into the details of Windows PowerShell. I think that's a subject for another video, and hopefully that'll be the next one I do, is look at Windows PowerShell, run through a few examples, because it is a lot more powerful than the command prompt. So let's exit out of that. There's one more major difference and major advantage for Windows Server 2008 compared to the previous versions, and that's that Windows Server 2008 can actually be installed just as what's known as Server Core. Now, Server Core is an installation that has no Windows Explorer and is basically configured entirely from the command line. Now, this has some major benefits, those being it saves disk space. It can be down to about 1 GB. It reduces maintenance, and also there's potential increase in security because we don't have the Windows Explorer and other programs running. So, I mean, that is a major difference with the Windows Server 2008 operating system, and it puts it more in line with things like Unix and Linux. So that's a summary and an overview of Windows Server 2008. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't cover all the features, but some of the major differences, and giving you a feel for what is different with Windows Server 2008. Look out for more videos. Hopefully I'll be posting some more soon.